I'm Natan. In This Week in Life, two major social media platforms flagged posts made by Donald Trump. This week, Twitter and Facebook both put banners on the incumbent president's posts about the unreliability of voting by mail. On Facebook, the banner below the post linked to Facebook's voting information page, and on Twitter, the banner on the post simply stated that the post violated the Twitter rules about civic and election integrity. There has obviously been other backlash against the controversial post, with Democrat and North Carolina Attorney General Josh Stein making a post mimicking the format of Trump's post, but with contradicting information. This is yet another piece in the puzzling controversy over voting by mail or in person. In other news, drug-making company AstraZeneca resumed studies this week on its COVID-19 vaccine. Trials of the vaccine were halted worldwide earlier this week because one of the UK participants developed a neurological illness. Although they do not know if the illness was linked to the vaccine, AstraZeneca stopped the trials. Luckily, the company announced this week that the studies and trials surrounding the vaccine would resume in the UK in the near future. Now on to a piece of gaming news. Let's talk about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. But Natan, didn't that game come out in the 90s? Well, you're not wrong. The original game was released by Activision in 1999. But I'm talking about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 Remastered, which came out on September 4th of this year. The game features all the nostalgic moves and characters, but with updated 4K resolution and a great soundtrack. The game is out now on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Now on to This Week in Life and History. On September 7th, 1813, the United States got the nickname Uncle Sam after Sam Wilson stamped barrels of beef with the letters US. The soldiers it was shipped to called the beef Uncle Sam's. On September 8th, 1974, President Gerald Ford officially pardoned former President Richard Nixon. On September 9th, 1956, Elvis Presley made his first appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show. On September 10th, 1963, the first 20 African American students began attending newly desegregated schools in Alabama. On September 11th, 2001, the tragic events of 9/11 took place, tragically claiming almost 3,000 lives. On September 12th, 1940, many ancient paintings were found lining the walls of a cave in Lascaux, France. And on September 13th, 1993, the Israel-Palestine Peace Accord was signed on the South Lawn of the White House in Washington, D.C. That's all for now, so let's head over to Alexander with This Week in Tech.
Thanks, Natan. This week in tech, we're talking about the latest Android 11 update, the upcoming Xbox's pricing, and the announcement date of AMD's newest CPUs and GPUs. First things first, as always, the new Android update brings, after a long while, a built-in screen recording functionality, messaging bubbles, and some minor UI changes. The screen recorder is just that, a screen recorder, that you can access from the notification shade, which you might still have to manually put it in there, but if you do a little bit of digging, you'll find it. Messaging bubbles are non-disappearing bubbles that appear when someone texts you, which basically allows you to text multiple different people on different platforms at the same time, which I think is pretty cool. And Google added a bunch of new features to the power menu and some more prioritizing in the notification shade, along with many other small tweaks and fixes. Next things next, that sounds kind of weird, is the pricing for the Xbox Series X and S along with their launch dates. To sum it up quickly, the Xbox Series X will come out at a $500 estimated retail price, and the Series S will come in at a $300 estimated retail price. Both models will be available for pre-order on September 22nd and will be at retail stores on November 10th. Now, what's crazy to me is that the Series S at $300, as I already mentioned, will supposedly be getting 1440p performance and 120 frames per second. Of course, that's absurd. There's no way it'll get 1440p 120 performance. It'll more realistically hit 1440p 30 FPS and 720p 120 FPS. Or at best 1440p 60 FPS and 1080p 120 FPS. Same thing goes for that Series X, which claims 4K 120 FPS, which is probably just 4K 60 FPS and 1440p 120 FPS, which, don't get me wrong, that's really good. It's just not exactly what they appear to be advertising. Although, who knows? We could just have a gaming beast that can go up to 4K 120 FPS. Actually hit the performance marks that they claim. Although I wouldn't hold my breath for that. And final things final, which, okay, that really sounds weird. We now know the announcement date of AMD's new CPUs and GPUs. It's an announcement for an announcement, per se. The announcement for what are presumably the Ryzen 4000 processors is coming up on the 8th of October, and the RX 6000 series is probably going to be announced, well, no, not probably, it is going to be announced October 28th. There's not much more to that subject, we just know when the announcement date is, so. Anyway, that's all for today. Stay safe, stay awesome, and as always, stay smart. Over to Noah with This Week in Sports.
Well, in This Week in Sports, in this part of the show, I bring you what sports have to offer throughout the course of this week. Right, let's get into it. Our first story of the day comes from soccer, where Lionel Messi has reportedly come back to Barcelona for this season. Our next story from soccer is that the English Premier League has returned. And here are my predictions for the top 4 teams. In 4th place, I have Manchester United. In 3rd place, I have Chelsea. In 2nd place, this may make some people angry, but I have Liverpool. And winning the entire league, I have Manchester City. Now on to the NFL, where Week 1 has taken place, and some big news happened. The Patriots won their first game after Tom Brady left them. But also, speaking of Tom Brady, he lost his first game against the Saints by a lot. And he also threw another pick six. That's 3 straight games for him with a pick six. And finally, my predictions for the NFL Week 2. For Thursday night's game, I'm taking the Cleveland Browns over the Cincinnati Bengals. For Sunday night's game, I'm going to take the Seattle Seahawks over the New England Patriots. And finally, for Monday night, I think the Saints are going to beat the Raiders by a lot. Thank you for watching This Week in Sports. Thank you for watching This Week in Life. If you enjoyed, go like and subscribe. That'd be much appreciated.